There is value in the things that others shun or conceal. A secret is an intangible coin worth more than a noble's murder. The words behind the mask. The Reaper of Reputation, God of Greed, Murder, Poison, and Secrets. His alignment is neutral evil. Domains include charm, death, evil, knowledge, and trickery. His favored weapon is the short sword. Centers of worship include Absalom, Vault, Nyx, Osirian, River Kingdoms, the Shackles, Taldor, and Varesia. His nationality is considered Taldane. Norgorber is one of the Ascended, a mortal who triumphed in the test of the Starstone, and took the mantle of the god of killers and spies. Little is known of his life as a mortal, for he has concealed this information so others can't use it against him, possibly murdering those who knew him. He has wiped knowledge of his past from even the memories of other gods, becoming an enigma to all. Only his most favored worshippers know enough about his goals to help bring his plans to fruition in the world, and sometimes he wipes the knowledge from their minds when their tasks are done to better serve his secrets. Some sages believe that if Norgorber's true nature was discovered, he would be undone, perhaps as a side effect of his passing the test of the Starstone, or perhaps as fallout for some sacrifice he made for greater power. He is subtle, devious, and cunning, a cold killer who hides in shadows, and trades on his power and information. He is a master of secrets, a true gamesman, and he welcomes all into his church, for eventually all have secrets for which they would kill. In artwork, Norgorber is most often represented only by his holy symbol, a featureless black mask, often polished into a mirror sheen. Some artists evoke his presence with a black mask-like badge, or an empty glove that is black, and worshippers have been known to nail a black glove to a door as a warning to someone who has offended the cult. He is sometimes shown as an invisible man dressed in the garb of a thief, or a hooded spectre-like figure with an obscured face and sinister black gloves. Those who try to paint or sculpt him as a recognizable figure, even if the image is purely from the artist's imagination, and not based on any knowledge or insight, find their hands fumbling and their work increasingly erratic. If they persist, their motor control is often permanently affected. Wiser priests of the church say that this is because if the god blotted out only the accurate depictions of him, mortals could deduce his true appearance by determining what they are not allowed to paint. So, instead, he hinders all attempts to portray his visage. When he manifests to mortals, he appears to be a normal human, dressed in brown and black, of average height and build, always with his face concealed, or entirely invisible, and vaguely threatening even when speaking pleasantly. Norgorber treasures secrets like a merchant treasures gold, whether the secret is his own or belongs to a mortal or supernatural creature. He trades them for more valuable secrets, gives them away if such knowledge serves his long-term goals, and takes them from volunteers who can't trust themselves not to speak of what they know. He modifies memories or kills to preserve secrets. He is not a god of lies, but he will use them to protect the truth of the matter or make it more valuable, though he dislikes altering knowledge to change truth into falsehood. Norgorber understands that controlling something is having power over that thing, and having power leads to the desire for more. He knows that there may be negative consequences for acting openly, and instead uses deceptive, circumspect, and insidious efforts, like blackmail and poison. Of course, some poisons are merely an inconvenience to the target, while some targets are easier to eliminate than to threaten or persuade. Together, these ideas make Norgorber the god of secrets, greed, poison, and murder. 4 pernicious traits interwoven to create a treacherous whole. Norgorber's realm in the great beyond is a network of sprawling tunnels and caverns beneath a perfect city of Axis. Its shadows and dark inhabitants hum silently with secret intent, bending the letter and spirit of Axis's laws, but never going so far as to disrupt its perfect order. The domain connects it to various points in Axis, sometimes in defiance of normal perceptions of time and space. Norgorber's presence, and that of his followers, is like the grease in a complex mechanism, messy and hidden away, but crucial to its overall function. The God of Secrets is subtle in his interventions. When he is pleased, a pickpocket finds a gold coin in an otherwise poor man's purse. A spy overhears a juicy bit of information from an unexpected source. A poisoned weapon retains its coating for a second attack, or dies with only a quiet gurgle. When he is roused to anger, his ire is carefully measured. A thief finds she's lost the jewel she was supposed to steal. A speaker completely forgets whatever important topic he was talking about. An inventive blade nicks the hand of a master assassin, or a skilled murderer finds himself downed by a lucky blow from an alley thug. Norgorber is disinclined to kill followers who fail him, provided they are still useful, and prefers instead to punish them with humiliation, sickness, or a crippling injury for a time, wiping key information from their mind to preserve his master plan. However, he has been known to dispose of those who are of no further use to him, especially those whose lives could be a threat to the objectives, and whose deaths can serve as a lesson to serving members of the cult. Now Norgorber has 4 aspects, all of them sinister. He is the Reaper of Reputation, God of Secrets, the Grey Master, God of Thieves, Black Fingers, God of Poisons, and Father Skinsaw, God of Murder. Members of Norgorber's cult usually align themselves with one of his 4 aspects, though some temples venerate all of them. People are all sons and daughters of the Mask, and a different branch of the church might work together towards some secret plan orchestrated by the god and his direct agents, though in many respects they operate like 4 distinct churches of different deities. The faithful mask themselves and hide their identities from their fellow congregants as scrupulously as they do from their victims. In his alchemist and poisoner aspect, Blackfingers, Norgorber represents unethical experimentation for the sake of knowledge and the harmful use of alchemy. While plenty of good and neutral-inclined alchemists worship other gods, all have at least heard of the secrets taught by Blackfingers. His alchemists breed spiders and scorpions with stronger venom, invent paralytics and memory-fogging drugs to aid criminal activity, and practice vivisection and surgery without anesthetic to discover secrets of the flesh or create hybrid monsters. His assassins engineer exotic drugs and toxins to duplicate the effects of food poisoning, dropsy, dyspnea, or otherwise untraceable things. The god's followers prefer masks of smoked glass, ostensibly to protect the wearers' faces from chemical splatters. The most dangerous branch of Norgorber's church is the Skinsaw cult. Both good and neutral folk and those whose honest work is killing, such as executioners, mercenaries, or soldiers, normally serve deities like Abadar, Gorum, and Diomedes. The Skinsaw cult attracts only the psychopaths and the dangerously insane, from the bloodthirsty bandits to abashed serial killers, for whom every murder is a prayer to their dark god and a step toward completing his mysterious plan. To them each murder is a ripple effect that echoes down through the centuries, incrementally guiding the world toward a particular dark future, though only Norgorber knows what the end goal might be. Their killings are not clean or gentle. The bodies are mutilated and the scene of the crime is left bloody. Many cult members wear magical masks made of human skin that allow them to detect the most vulnerable parts of their targets. Just as a predator hunts the weakest animal in the herd,
Worshippers of Norgorber's thieving aspect target the most vulnerable citizens in their society. Neutral and evil thieves often worship the Grey Master. Good individuals who like the idea of liberating wealth from evil folk usually prefer Caden Caelian or Desna instead. Burglary, gambling, extortion, blackmail, or selling illegal materials all provide the Grey Master's Guild with profits to the expense of others and usually outside the allowances of the law. Individual thieves' guilds vary, from thugs who would disfigure a merchant or his family members if they fell behind on protection payments, to nearly legitimate organizations that don't allow drugs or wanton violence in their territory. The cult's masks are usually simple strips of gray or black cloth to create anonymity by concealing the face below the eyes, and are easily discarded after a crime. The Reaper of Reputation is Norgorber's malevolent aspect and is concerned with guarding hidden information, which makes him a favorite of politicians and spies. Secrets and manipulation are bread and butter to these folk, and even the most amiable politician or good-hearted spy masters their use. Despite this, however, few goodly folk follow the Reaper, and his faithful usually have selfish interests at heart, and use their information or influence for personal gain, though their actions may incidentally benefit others as well. For example, the guildmaster of a crafting guild who manipulates market prices to drive out foreign competition might increase the wealth of the artisans he represents as well as his own. Yet most of the Reaper's followers are simply corrupt politicians and informants for powerful tyrants or despots. Some followers of the Reaper take a more aggressive route to gathering information. Most notoriously, the mysterious Ustalovic assassins known as the Anaphexia collect esoteric secrets and slay all others who possess such knowledge. A typical mask for the worshipper of a Reaper is a domino or masquerade mask, or a spiral that covers the mouth. Norgorber is outlawed, or at least persecuted, in most civilized lands, but its main centers are urban nonetheless, as his followers require a substantial population on which to practice their arts. Fortunately, the cult's affinity for secrecy allows it to thrive under those conditions. Congregations operate behind facades of legitimate businesses, or literally work underground with lairs and meeting places in the city's sewers and basements. Many city-dwelling members of the cult lead double lives, reputable by day and shady or even murderous at night. A few, particularly the crazed worshippers of Father Skinsaw, take this habitual dual identity to such an extreme that they develop a form of psychosis, living two lives separated by nightfall and sunrise, completely forgetting the existence of the other self, except for brief moments of transition. Common folk are regularly suspicious of any known or thought to worship Norgorber, believing them thieves and liars at best and assassins or serial killers at worst. Indeed, most of Norgorber's cults are with or double as thieves' guilds, and the guild-like traditions of worshippers of the Grey Master have carried over into temple practices, even for the other three aspects of the god. Once a new member of the cult has established competency at basic tasks, she must complete a mission relating to the cult's more nefarious activities to be promoted to full status within the organization. A cult of the Grey Master may require the cult member to steal goods amounting to a certain value, get a gambler into a specified amount of debt, or extort protection payments from a merchant. In the cult of Blackfingers, members gain full status by synthesizing a particular poison, reverse engineering a drug's components from its final product, or discovering a new alchemical use for an animal gland. For followers of the Reaper of Reputation, typical initiations involve liberating a choice secret, defaming or defeating a key rival outside the organization, or accomplishing a political goal of value to the cult. Unsurprisingly, the challenges of the cult of the father Skinsaw involve murder, either of a high-profile target or a specific member of people in a short period of time. Ceremonies to Norgorber are quiet, even in cities where his faith is not banned. Typically, a masked senior priest leads a prayer, pausing for murmured assent from the faithful. Ceremonies avoid singing or use of musical instruments, though the shaking of coins in a cup or the whetting of blades accompanies some rituals. The greatest taboo of the Reaper's faith is revealing secrets, specifically the secrets of the faith. Escalating punishments for this offense include lashings, being administered a painful but not fatal poison, having one's civilian identity suffer debilitating setbacks, and murder. Along the same lines, revealing the identity of another member to someone outside the faith, especially to someone in law enforcement, might also earn a visit from the Skinsaw men, as most members prefer to handle an internecine conflict from within the secret shrouds of their society. Norgorber's temples are organized like thieves' guilds, and are often housed in legitimate businesses that serve as fronts for more disreputable activities. Alternatively, worshippers may use temporary meeting places in basements or sewers to avoid suspicions centering on a specific location. A guild member, usually a rogue, assassin, or cleric, runs each temple, with lieutenants and lesser bosses in charge of various plans and teams of followers. Temples to Blackfingers sometimes operate more like a merchant's guild, selling exotic substances through legitimate fronts, though many of these substances can be combined with others into deadly poisons. Shrines are uncommon in the faith. Any place with a large populace supports a temple that operates in secrecy, leaving little need for other locations that only increase the chance of discovery. The Skinsaw cult may, however, bury the remains of a murdered victim in a public place and treat such sites as secret shrines, and followers of Blackfingers might designate one place in town as a dumping ground for dangerous alchemical leftovers, creating a blighted space where nothing grows, then visiting it as a tribute to the god's secrets. To serve Norgorber is to operate in the shadows, where the sharpest minds survive through their knowledge, skill, and coolness under pressure. Rogues, assassins, alchemists, and shadow dancers make up the bulk of Norgorber's clergy, though spellcasters and even more specialized types also serve him. Thieves and burglars venerate him as the Grey Master, and those who choose to devote themselves to his service tend to be the most greedy and covetous. Bookish alchemists, herbalists, and assassins worship him as Blackfingers, and even a few druids and witches are drawn to the aspect's patronage of poisonous creatures. The Reaper of Reputation uses secretive spies and politicians as well as assassins. Norgorber, in his most terrifying aspect as Father Skinsaw, insane and psychopathic murderers and barbarians slaughter in this aspect's name. Of course, these traits color rather than define a worshipper, and while some are caricatures of these qualities, most have the good sense to rein in their urges and present a normal demeanor to the outside world. Priests train in a number of skills to hide their identity. They often maintain some sort of profession as a cover and have ranks in that skill. Thievery, whether common or elaborate, is a standard profession for priests, as are forging and blackmail, leading them to have the ability to bluff, language skills, and an aptitude with stealthy maneuvers. Some of the clergy are master imitators, stealing others' identities and using them to cover up dark deeds, or infiltrate clandestine meetings to collect their secrets. Others use their knowledge of alchemy, poisons, and potions to keep villains supplied with deadly goods while maintaining public personas as harmless apothecaries. More sociable priests work as spies and negotiators, buying and selling information as contacts. Spellcasters in his service may be skilled in illusion spells to misdirect foes, divination magic to discover secrets, enchantments to twist the minds of those who oppose, or destructive evocations to destroy enemies utterly. AntiPaladins who serve Norgorber are secretive and cunning. They prefer to strike from the shadows even when the odds are already in their favor. They rely on traps, tricks, ambushes, and poison to weaken their foes. Their code reflects a cold and honest assessment of the human condition, and its tenets include the following adages. Innocence is ignorance, and ignorance is weakness. I will seek to shed my own ignorance, and encourage ignorance in my enemies. I do not take the credit, nor do I accept the blame. I work always in the shadows. A fair fight is not worth the fight. I will take every advantage I can. No tool is beneath me. Cold eyes, cold heart. My enemies can expect no mercy from me. Everyone is expendable, and I will sacrifice them all as necessary. Each life I take shapes the future to my Lord's desires. Those who worship Norgorber live in a world of lies, deceit, and mortal danger. His followers work consistently to protect their identities and trust no one outside of the mask. But they know that when the faithful gather, they are a force that can shape history. They may disdain those in authority for their prettiness, or may simply have no need for the constraining bonds of law. Likewise, they don't particularly care about chaos and the reign of the individual. They seek the power of secrets, the strength that lies in terror and misdirection, the might of uncertainty and betrayal. They live double lives, always on guard. Though the faith accepts all kinds, those who worship the Reaper tend to be secretive, while the acolytes of Blackfingers, bookish, students of the Grey Master are greedy and covetous, and followers of Father Skinsaw are antisocial or psychopathic. Norgorber's adherents tend to keep their worship secret, and even in a metropolis like Absalom, where his faith is marginally tolerated out of respect for his place of ascension, it can be dangerous for a worshipper to identify himself or herself in public. Thus, the churches within most cities develop specific identifiers known only to members. Followers of Norgorber may wear simple masks when they wish to hide their identity, and carry a variety of secondary masks that they can hold up to send messages to members of their faith. Cult members prefer clothing cut in the latest fashion to avoid drawing attention, and containing plenty of hidden pockets for poisons, weapons, or other surprises. Ceremonial clothing varies, but is black and brown for the temples that worship all four aspects of Norgorber, and always involves masks or other identity-shielding precautions. At least 17 short texts, all given innocuous code names and often disguised as mundane books or encoded to prevent easy scrutiny, comprise the words behind the mask. Though any two cults may have very different ideas about how the chapters are organized, the specific wording for certain phrases, or which sections are most important. Within these slim tomes lie precepts for organizing guilds, maintaining secrecy, finding suitable work sites, conducting blackmail and extortion, and worming one's way into a victim's confidence. Most are written as parables. Norgorber's followers often commemorate his ascension in midwinter by snatching a random person from the street, bringing him to their temple, quietly poisoning him, then hiding the body where it will never be found. Cults that avoid killing might plant incriminating evidence on a victim, drug a target and place her in a compromising position, or steal something valuable in a way that embarrasses its owner. Individual cults may also celebrate the anniversary of successful schemes, killing sprees, or other invention of unusual drugs or poisons. With 4 different aspects, countless individual organizations scattered across Golarion, and a love of secrecy and coded messages, the cult has few unifying phrases. His faithful in each region use a unique mix of regional slang, doublespeak, inverted syllables, similar-sounding words borrowed from other languages, rhyming words substituted for key phrases, and hand signals to pass secret information. In a city where the cult of Norgorber has been a fixture for a decade or more, the system often effectively becomes the local thieves' chant, even if there is no active guild there. Despite all these differences, however, 2 lines from Norgorber's scripture regularly crop up among cultists. With one hand I give. Used as a salutation, this is also a warning. The speaker's true motivations remain secret, and a gift in one hand may be offset by a threat in another. I wait for a fair price. Something of little apparent value may have great worth in the right hands, or whispered in a proper ear. A person like this possesses some item or knows some secret that has not been deployed to its full potential. Norgorber is careful to maintain civil relations with most deities, and is scrupulous in covering his tracks when he must act against them, working through intermediaries and obscuring his involvement. Only 6 major deities refuse to speak with Norgorber. Abadar objects to the way Norgorber's thievery undermines the idea of law and the honest acquisition of wealth. Cain Caelian considers him a coward and a villain. Erastil has seen his criminal activity and family-damaging secrets, and those of his followers, damage too many lives. Eomade steadfastly believes Norgorber has evaded justice for far too long, and thinks the dark god was somehow involved in the death of Auradon. Sin has given him enough chances to redeem himself, only to see his false repentance further some evil plot. Torag sees him as the cancer that destroys a city from within, despite walls mighty enough to keep out the most dangerous foes. Yet despite their enmity, even these deities have dealt with Norgorber through intermediaries in order to obtain valuable secrets. Father Skinsaw shares with Achakek the love of conceiving, planning, and executing murder, and the two cults sometimes work together. He has been known to consort with Gyrona and Sivana as well, calling upon their aid directly or manipulating them for his own purposes, and withdrawing in silent amusement when they manage to manipulate him in turn. Like Norgorber himself, members of his church often take a point of working well with members of other faiths, especially if such outsiders are willing to pay for the unique skills cultivated by Norgorber's followers. They are darkly amused when representatives of those faiths that despise him come to them for help in times of grief or need. Though the faith is not welcome or even tolerated by many places, the secretive power its members carry allows them to make inroads or friendship, or at least alliances of convenience, with others. In the end, however, Norgorber's worshippers are likely to show them why they cannot be trusted. As with all cities, no matter how lawful, Axis has its own dark underbelly, an illicit underworld populated by thieves and predators. While some might be surprised to find criminal activity in a realm of perfect law, they forget that the concept of lawfulness doesn't mean solely governmental laws, and Axis itself cares nothing for good or evil. The best example of this is Norgorber's domain, a literal underground of sewers and tunnels filled with thieves and murderers that connects disparate points across Axis. Far from purging this sprawling network of its shady inhabitants, most axiomites and other residents accept it as a necessary part of what makes a city run smoothly, like grease in a machine. While Norgorber and his servants may not always follow the letter or spirit of the laws in which they agree, laws that theoretically bind all Axis's inhabitants, their unreliability is anticipated and planned for. They can be trusted to be untrustworthy. The utility provided by the god of thieves, and his role as head of what is functionally the largest thieves guild in the cosmos, allows most of Axis to turn a blind eye to his activities in the name of pragmatism. Norgorber has few divine servants who are known by name to the faithful, and those who do give names may serve multiple aspects under alternate designations. In addition to Norgorber's servitor race, the Karunzeks, the following beings sometimes answer the call of his faithful. Secret Shade, a unique shadow. Secret Shade was once a human master assassin, but its recollection is spotty, perhaps from centuries of mental fragmentation to preserve the god's secrets. This incorporeal figure has all the powers of an undead shadow with the fiendish creature template, and responds favorably to gifts of valuable history books and biographical stories. It excels at spying and assassination. The Stabbing Beast. This monstrous killer serves as Norgorber's herald. The Stabbing Beast does not believe that anything other than its master can kill it, despite mortal records that show it has been killed in the past. Norgorber wiped its memory of these failures when he resurrected his herald. When the cult of Norgorber summons the Stabbing Beast, the mortals may present it with several choice targets to hunt and slay, though predicting its interests is difficult. The beast keeps trophies of its kills by covering corpses in a preservative bile, swallowing them in its scorpion form, and regurgitating them when it returns to its lair deep beneath the planar metropolis of Axis. Venom Fist, unique water elemental. A greenish water Venom Fist is infused with poison. The type varies according to its whim. The priest who conjures this divine servant may be able to convince it to use a particular toxin by offering it a sample of a deadly concoction, another animal venom, a potion of poison, or something purely alchemical. It loves to drown creatures in its own body, especially if the victims are naturally poisonous, or have been poisoned for this purpose.
Hello everyone. So we just finished Norgorber, the Reaper of Reputation. Your spies should be happy. Next up, Robogug, the Rough Beast. Definitely a character you'll run into if you fight any NPCs that are really into death and destruction. So stay tuned. And as always, have a great day, God bless, and enjoy.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.